This weekend, the T100 lands on the party island of Ibiza, with the world's best triathletes in pursuit of their own celebration. 2 triumphs in 3 sees the queen of the T100, Ashley Gentle, on top of the rankings.
What a dominant and complete performance from Ashley Gentle today.
But in this game, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And with her eye on the throne, Knibb returns from Olympic silver with one aim, owning the rivalry that is the talk of the T100.
Knibb in a league of her own right now.
She has completely dominated.
In the men's field, wherever Martin van Riel goes, success is never far behind. But in the Belgian slipstream is a wild card who pushes himself to the absolute limit in Yuri Kurin.
This is incredible, and what a performance.
And a champion Sam Laidlow in red-hot form.
Sam Laidlow, you are the champion.
Who will take their chance of glory as the mercury rises in the Mediterranean this weekend? 4 races down, 3 to go in the battle to be crowned T100 World Champion.
On your mark.
We see there a very quick starter's horn. Sam Laidlow a little slow to get away, but ultimately he's on some good feet over there. I'm joined as always by the Olympic bronze medalist, Vicky Holland. Vicky, what do we see so far?
Well, what we're expecting to see, no doubt, is probably someone like Aaron Royal and possibly Josh Amberger leading out this swim. They are the form swimmers that we're used to seeing lead out our T100 races. But someone like Martin van Riel, his addition into this racing now, he's also a very good swimmer. We've got a couple of spearheads coming in now. So right on the left-hand side of the screen, as you're looking at it, we've got an athlete leading the way there. And just having a little look down to see if I can work out who that might be. Could well be Josh Amberger.
So last night, Vicky, Martin van Riel, Aaron Royal and Rico Bogan got together for a little pre-race dinner. And they were discussing tactics, and Rico Bogan was put in charge of leading the swim. What's going to happen if their plan plays out is that Rico will lead for about the first 400 or 500 metres, and then if Aaron can come around, he will go around. They're a little sick of these swims not breaking up and coming in with 2 big groups into T1, and they think with this open field and all the bike power out there, they wouldn't mind getting a little bit of a smaller select group to start the race. And we can see over on your far right-hand side, that is Rico Bogan who has taken charge. So far, does seem like that is playing out exactly like that. We can see that those 4 spearheads that there were are kind of becoming 2 with the one in the middle left. It does look like over to the right with Rico has gone out quite a bit harder and is sort of in front right now.
Yeah, you can see the yellow hat on his feet. That's Sam Laidlow, so that would be Rico Bogan leading Sam Laidlow. And I think you can see Martin van Riel at about 4th there as well. So they're all in that bunch over onto the right-hand side.
He has gone out really hard here, though. It's quite unusual for T100 male racing that it does get sort of spread out like this early, and there isn't just straight away a very clear group, but there is kind of some 30-centimetre gaps here and there that don't always happen. We can see in our middle of the screen, sort of middle and slightly back a bit in that pink cap, is Aaron Royal. So he is a bit of a slow starter. We've seen that in all races but San Francisco, that he does build into his swim and come into it late, but he's not exactly where he would like to be. If you look at Rico Bogan out there in the red, Sam Laidlow's behind him. You can see Martin van Riel, the pink sleeves too behind them. That's Martin van Riel. So everyone who we would expect to be here kind of is here. Josh Amberger's there as well. Alistair Brownlee, you can see in a nice position. And we can see a change in lead. Martin van Riel has gone to the front. So I guess that conversation they had has sort of played out with Rico Bogan leading the first 300, 400 metres and then Martin or Aaron taking over. They're both right there. Aaron's 4th right now, Martin's 1st, Rico Bogan's there in 3rd. So yeah, it is sort of playing out how they'd like, but it isn't quite broken up yet.
Vicky, tell me, why, as Rico Bogan and Aaron Royal, would you sit down and make a plan with Martin van Riel of all people? Genuinely, I mean, he's the guy to beat.
I mean, our friendship's getting in the way of a potentially tactical decision here. You're right. it's the right thing to do for athletes like Rico, like Aaron especially. He needs to make something happen on the swim. His performances so far in the T100 this year have been a little bit disappointing to himself. He's expected a little bit more for himself, and his massive strength is his swim capability. So if you're someone like Aaron Royal, yeah, make a plan with someone, but you're right, Martin Van Riel, as the person who is undefeated over middle distance, who won in San Francisco at his first time at this, probably not the person.
Martin Van Riel in the front, Josh Amberger on his feet, Rico Bogan on his feet, and then Aaron Royal right there as well with Sam Laidlow and Alistair Brownlee next up.
And we see Martin Van Riel ranked 12th in the swim, currently leading the swim, so hopefully he'll get some points in his swim rankings and working his way through lap 1 of 2.
So we've got an actual Aussie exit today, a true old-fashioned Aussie exit. Martin Van Riel leads, Josh Amberger behind him, Rico Bogan next out of the water. You can see that Martin Van Riel has really exploded out of that Aussie exit. There's quite a few gaps here, actually. Fred Funk, Max Newman, they do seem, Daniel Baccarat, they do seem like they've kind of dropped that front group a little bit and will have to work really hard to get back onto the feet here.
Yeah, Daniel Baccarat was the one there who did seem to have just been a little bit too sluggish getting out of the water. And Martin Van Riel, I think, is really going to use that power, that speed he's got from the short course background to just try and accelerate out of this as Aussie exit.
And Matthias Margier and Peter Hemrich as well. Matthias Margier not making a front group is a very, very rare thing in long course triathlon.
Martin Van Riel just lifting his head, sighting now. The thing is, the sun is just coming up, so the reflection on the water can be a little bit tricky to actually spot. We see him raising his head more than he normally would, and that would definitely be the sunlight coming into his eyes as we see the palm trees slowly catching up on some sunlight.
Something that I think is interesting is that Aaron Royal in 4th there in the pink cap has yet to see the front of the swim, which would be the first time for the T100 World Tour in 2024 if he does not, in fact, spend some time on the front.
Just seems that now there's a little bit of a split occurring after, I think, the 6 athletes. I think we've got 6 away, and someone has just, I think it's Max Newman, green cap, has just dropped the feet. So there's a little bit of a gap occurring. It's not massive yet, but they are on the way back on this final lap, and that could be a good few seconds coming into first transition.
I think something to note in this lead group is a lot of bike firepower. Martin Van Riel, his strength is probably his cycling. I know he's a really solid, consistent athlete, no real weaknesses, which he talked about in one of the interviews this week, that he sees his biggest strength, but he has no weakness. But if you talk to everyone, they do say that his bike is actually his strength, not his swim or his run. Sam Laidlow, we saw what he did in London. Alistair Brownlee, he's always been one of the most aggressive cyclists in the sport. Rico Bogan, his bike is definitely his strength. Aaron Royal and Josh Amberger are the 2 in this league group where they kind of have a bit of suspicion on their bike and is it as strong as everyone around them. But the 4 other men in this group, you know, their bike is as strong as anyone in World Triathlon right now.
Just in their final few metres of the swim now. So whilst Martin Van Riel has put down the vast majority of the work on the front, he's not been able to make too much damage to a lot of the guys behind him. It's going to be a lot of athletes that hit transition together.
And we're going to, as always, throw to our transition expert, Jan Frodeno. Call what you're seeing, Jan.
All right, so here we go. Martin Van Riel made a surprisingly calm impression on me as he ran out. Alistair Brownlee coming out, Max Newman right on the feet there. We see the athletes taking off their swimsuits. Everybody now, by a change of the rules, has to have their swim skins on, so no more funky transitions like we used to see in the past. Martin Van Riel here looking very calm in his colours of choice, hard to be missed as he gets on. By choosing to put on his socks in T1, that is a smart call to me, because you're not going to create a difference here, and by the time you come around to second transitions, you're already wearing socks. Josh Amberger leading the men out, and Sam Laidlow in second. That is something I would worry about, because we know he can ride, especially that first lap, extremely hard to create a gap that few guys can.
That's what caught my eye too, Jan. Sam Laidlow looked very calm and in control. that kind of would, if I was racing, that would scare me looking at Sam Laidlow there.
And funny enough, Martin Van Riel actually taking Sam Laidlow's tactic. So Sam Laidlow used to lose a lot of time in T1 putting on socks. He went out barefoot. As we see the second group, Yuri Kulin is indeed leading the group. Brad Weiss, I see in there. Matthias Margier.
Yeah.
Oh, they're going around. Jeez, boys, stay within the lines. Very powerful group on the bike. This could be, but I'm surprised to see Matisse especially so far behind.
I know that Matisse has had a bit of injury issue, but talking to him throughout the week, he said his training had been going well. He felt he was back in form. He felt his swim, bike and run were all in good positions. I even questioned, I said, really, you've got back this quick? He said, yeah, I feel I was in good form as what I was in Miami, where he was the one who took charge and took Alistair Brownlee off the front of the race. But wow, to see him in this group, it's quite surprising, really. And it's like, at this point, it's a minute and 30 seconds to that front group. And we know he's a strong bike rider and this course suits him, but that's a big gap. So we do see a lot of bunching up here with flashing red lights. They do have a small period where they are allowed to sort of spread out. You sort of see this roundabout up
it's
here.
just the angle.
After that... cheeky from Jan. After this roundabout is where they are expected to sort of string things out. So we do hope to see that really soon. And huge drama early as we were off screen. Martin Van Riel and Sam Laidlow were leading this bike course and they have gone straight through a roundabout the wrong way on the course. So they have had to go all the way back around the roundabout and connect back with the group, which they haven't managed to do so far. So we now have Rico Bogan and Fred Funk out in front of this race. Here we see the replay of it. Martin Van Riel in the pink and yellow up in front in the lead. They're supposed to take a right-hand turn there. They go straight through the roundabout. You can see they turn around, look. That's a hard U-turn on a TT bike like that. There's not much space on that side of the roundabout. Rico Bogan and Fred Funk slip straight through.
And this is a really nice shot to put Sam Laidlow's ride into perspective. He went the wrong way with Martin Van Riel. Martin Van Riel is sitting somewhere towards the back third, maybe in halfway in this group, and Sam has ridden past all these riders that you're seeing at the top of your screen. So the amount of power that Sam Laidlow is putting down early is phenomenal.
Scary even. I would say this is ominous not only for today's race but for the season to come. We know Sam Laidlow targeting both this race particularly and Kona. There is two big ones. Magnus Ditlev watching at home, Christian Blumenfeld watching at home. They will be taking note of what we're seeing right now.
Sam Laidlow sitting on the front. We noticed his change in helmet. He's changed helmet sponsors mid-season. Interesting, which means that he's obviously done some testing. He would have some data to back that up. I think middle of the season, that's a clear sign.
Yeah,
in his colors. Interesting how helmet shapes change over and over again, and it seems to be the super wide spaceship kind of shield helmet that really is taking advantage at the moment.
There hasn't really been any drafting that I've seen outside of the technical zone. So we saw Rico Bogan pass Fred Funk. Fred Funk dropped back straight away. He has 45 seconds to do so. We see it again. Alistair Brownlee goes past him. We see Fred Funk sit up on the hoods and all the flats, and he lets him in. And you can see this group with Sam Laidlow way up in the distance, Martin Van Riel in second in the pink, Rico Bogan, Alistair Brownlee and Fred Funk. They are giving each other way more than 20 metres, and they've dropped that big group behind them. So it's just great to see a race that seems like it's quite fair out there. Come on, boys, do some work, says Sam Laidlow. Funnily enough, Alistair Brownlee there in fourth. He's the one who's come around and decided, I'm going to do some work here. You can see him, he's dropped in to the second wheel there behind Sam Laidlow. I mean, Alistair Brownlee, the big critique on him all throughout his middle distance and even long distance racing career has been that he doesn't race patiently enough. He always goes to the front of the race. He rides too aggressively and he blows up on the run. So I actually love that Alistair Brownlee didn't go around Sam Laidlow there. He clearly could have. Clearly Sam Laidlow has decided to drop off the pace a little bit, and it's Fred Funk, the one who said, well, if no one else is going to shoulder this responsibility, I'm going to go and drive the pace here. But Jan, I know you've talked about it a lot. I know in Miami you were almost praying that Alistair could hold on that run and get a victory that we all want to see him have as a champion of this sport. He has decided to just sit in there and play the patient game today.
And then here we have Alistair Brownlee, and he's someone that I think any triathlon fan out there is desperate to see him put down an Alistair Brownlee-esque performance.
And I think we are seeing fireworks to a certain degree here. His face, depending on the light, looks like it's taking on the shape of his color. Oh my gosh,
way.
I cannot believe it. The first penalty.
They were the wrong kind of fireworks. That wasn't what I was asking for.
That is, I mean, he does play with fire and read the course very well, but the first penalty we see, oh my gosh, really, of all the people.
So Alistair Brownlee unclips. He has a 1 minute penalty to serve for the first ever drafting penalty in T100 World Tour history.
A minute feels like such a long time, doesn't it, when you've just stood there waiting as he clips in, heads off to a bit of a cheer. But as we predicted, he is completely on his own, no other athletes in sight just at this point, so he's going to have a lonely final lap out on the bike.
This descent really isn't that steep. It's only like -4 or 5%, and they're doing 75 clicks. That's super fast at those kind of percentages.
Shows you though, here we go, and this is Sam Laidlow, a lap later than I predicted, but he is having a crack. And we did see in the first lap that Sam was going 81 down this climb. We were just doing, 3-4K an hour less, and this is definitely something where he has an advantage, where he's extremely aerodynamic.
So we can see this lead group of 3 with Mick and Knut only a few seconds behind, and Martin Van Riel just a couple of seconds behind. Rico Bogan leads us into T2 here at T100 Ibiza. Sam Laidlow hot on his heels in second, and the magic man Fred Funk in third. The endless Bally Mick and Knut in fourth, and the undefeated Martin Van Riel in fifth. Rico Bogan, he puts socks on in T1. He can get his runners on and explode out of T2. Fred Funk, Sam Laidlow, Mick and Knut, and Martin Van Riel. Not Martin Van Riel. He also has socks on. They all have to put socks on, so slower transitions. And we can see that play out in front of our eyes as Rico Bogan gets a jump out of T2. The man who came third in the 3-up sprint finish in San Francisco is taking charge of today's race at the start of the run in T100 Ibiza. The man who won that day, Martin Van Riel, he was slower out of transition, but not quite as slow as Mick and Knut or Fred Funk, who wore 4th and 5th out of transition. The battle is on now, Jan. This is the group of 5. This is where the win will come from. And the young German 70.3 world champion, Rico Bogan, is the one taking charge, as we see Martin Van Riel in second and Sam Laidlow in third, with Fred Funk and Mick and Knut in 4th and 5th.
Alistair Brownlee now in transition, probably what we expected a minute or so back. I think that attack would have probably cost him a little bit of time again.
It's now time to see what form is the 2-time Olympic champion Alistair Brownlee in here today at T100 Ibiza. He had that 1 minute penalty, the first ever penalty in T100 history. He made some time up to the boys into T2, but what form is the Olympic champion in today? Can he catch any of the lead 5, or has that effort to catch back up taken a bit out of him? So we've got an overhead shot here. You can see Sam Laidlow and Martin Van Riel passing the billion-dollar yacht factory down there on the dock. You can see that gap to Rico Bogan in third has really extended. Only just seeing Rico Bogan right there, that gap is really blown out, and the gap to Mick and Knut and Fred Funk behind even more. So I think it's not crazy to say that might be the decisive move on the run today, and we might be seeing the battle for the win right here with Martin Van Riel and Sam Laidlow. They might have made it impossible for everyone else to even compete today. Well, we go from the excitement of the men's race to the anticipation and nerves of the women's race here today at the 5th stop of the T100 World Tour. We see Imogen Simmons off to the left-hand side of your screen in the red cap. She's taken a really aggressive start to the swim here. Ashley Gentle over on the far left in orange. She now needs to get on Imogen Simmons' feet. That's where she needs to be. Ash Gentle and Imogen Simmons, probably not known as the 2 strongest swimmers in this field, but they're the ones leading it. Can Ash Gentle duck over and get onto her feet? We are looking for some strong swimmers in the yellow cap to the far right. Flora Duffy, the Olympic champion always been known for having one of the strongest swims in the sport. And then Taylor Spivey as well. She's obviously stepping up for her first time ever at the T100 World Tour. Great swimmer, history as a swimmer. The bike's the big question mark for her, but can she help shape this race here on the swim today? I think the big thing we've got to watch her early here is that battle over on the left-hand side of the screen. Can Ash Gentle get onto Imogen Simmons' feet and drag her up and make sure that she stays with Sarah Perez-Sala over there in the pink, and Flora Duffy in the yellow, and Taylor Knibb, who we can see there in the purple cap. They're the big questions. Ash Gentle cannot afford to let a big gap form here today to that strong group on the other side of the swim. Oh, Taylor Knibb's just got dragged underwater and dropped back. She's now in about 5th or 6th. She got a little bit of a dunk there, and maybe even had to put her goggles back on, so she has dropped back a little bit there, and will have to swim strong to get back to the front of this swim.
Crystal clear waters of the Mediterranean being the perfect place you want to swim. The last time in Paris, we certainly had the opposite of these conditions, so I think that's going to be quite a pleasure for Taylor Knibb to make up here. We've done 8 of 18 kilometers, and the gap is close on a minute now to Mika Nuut. They ran out of transition together. That's significant. It's down another 30 seconds down to Fred Funk, and he has now passed Rico Bogan down the line. Alistair Brownlee 2 minutes down, so he's holding pace roughly with Mika Nuut in 3rd.
Back with the swim, and I think that's Taylor Spivey at the front there.
That is, yes.
Familiar stroke to me, someone I race against quite a lot in the short course series, and she's on debut here today, not just in the T100 but at middle distance full stop. She's never raced above short course Olympic distance racing, so I know she's incredibly nervous about that, but this is a challenge she's been looking forward to all year. She's only had 2 weeks practice on a TT bike because she was racing super short distance racing in Super Triathlon just about 3 weeks ago now, so she is very much new to this.
We're approaching the Aussie exit here for the women today on the first lap of the swim. This is a massive moment in my eyes. Taylor Knibb needs to close this gap on the back half of this first lap, the Aussie exit and the start of the second lap. If Taylor Knibb can get across to these lead group of 4 and find her ticket into T1 inside the lead group of 5, we might see the Taylor Knibb show again, because this bike course is perfectly suited to her, and I don't think she would have looked at anyone in this lead group of 4, Taylor Spivey, India Lee, Sarah Perez-Sala and Flora Duffy, as anyone who's capable of riding with her over 80k. She really is on top shape. So this point we're seeing right now, as Taylor Knibb looks across and sees that group, this is vital. She needs to get back on here.
And where is Ash Gentle? That is the million-dollar question. How close behind can she be?
She's there, right
She's
there.
at the back of this next group.
Behind
There we
Imogen
go.
Simmons. There she is right there. Ash Gentle on your screens right now. Ashley Gentle is 26 seconds behind the lead group of Taylor Spivey, India Lee, Flora Duffy, Sarah Perez-Sala, Julie Duron and Taylor Knibb right there as well. It does look like Martin Van Riel is putting a little bit of a surge in here. Look, he's not all or nothing here. I'm going for my big move. But since he took the lead coming down the descent the last time around, he does look like he's put in a bit of a surge, a bit of a tester. They just came past our commentary booth right there and we locked eyes on them. It did look like Sam Laidlow was hurting a little bit to hold onto the back of Martin Van Riel's shoulder.
As we get eyes back on the women's race right here, as their battle is only starting, as they touch land finally into T1 they go.
T1, or as it sometimes is, the launch zone for the rocket ship that is Taylor Knibb. Will we see that again today? Taylor Spivey has taken charge of this swim today. Her debut here at the T100 World Tour, and she's found herself leading it for the first 26 minutes. Right on her feet, as it has been most of the day, Sarah Perez-Sala and India Lee. We can also see that Flora Duffy is in there, and Taylor Knibb assuming position in 5th, able to hold on. Quite an impressive swim from Taylor Knibb, considering where she was.
Do you think Taylor Knibb maybe has a little bit of a regroup phase now? She obviously had to work really hard to get back onto that group. Do you think she will just take a minute to get into it on the bike, or are we just fully expecting Taylor Knibb to just put the hammer down?
Taylor Knibb was a top 10 finisher at the Olympic time trial with 3 crashes, right? I don't think, even if she does wait, that's an all-out effort for everyone else to hold on to on a normal day. I'm not trying to discount the race early on, but I don't think Taylor Knibb is waiting for everyone. She is such a strong caliber, and she can deal with adversity. As we see a quick transition from Sarah Perez-Sala taking it out first.
She didn't have a swim skin on, did she? So she had a little bit of an advantage on the other girls, as that's Indy Lee, I think, running through for second.
I think we've just got to call this how it is. The only women who can hold Taylor Knibb here potentially are India Lee and Flora Duffy. Taylor Spivey, her strength is her swim bike, her swim run. Her bike is a little bit of a weakness, I think, particularly over this distance, and particularly considering she hasn't spent much time on the TT bike. And Sarah Perez-Sala has never been able to go with Taylor Knibb on the bike. So the big question here is A, what shape is Taylor Knibb in? And B, can Flora Duffy and India Lee hold on to Taylor Knibb for even 4 or 5k, or will Taylor Knibb just go straight to the front of this bike, ride off and never be seen again? Martin Van Riel has made a move. Sam Laidlow looks at his watch, checks the pace. He can't hold on. Is this the decisive move of the day? Martin Van Riel, the T100 San Francisco champion, here today at Ibiza on his next stop on the T100 World Tour, has broken Sam Laidlow and he's running away with the race with 3.3 kilometres to go. Can Sam Laidlow rally and hold on here? Can he fight back onto Martin Van Riel's shoulder, or has he lost the race here with 3.3 kilometres to go? Here we are at the front of the women's race. Taylor Knibb, 10 kilometres into it. She's about 12 kilometres into it now. She's got a 34-second lead to second place India Lee. Flora Duffy in third, 1 minute and 13 seconds behind. Julie Duron has worked her way into fourth, 1 minute and 53 seconds. Sarah Perez-Sala, she's fifth, 1 minute and 55 seconds. Taylor Spivey, who she was in transition 1 with Taylor Knibb, 12 kilometres into the ride. She's now 2 minutes down. 2 minutes Taylor Knibb has put into Taylor Spivey over 12 kilometres. That's quite absurd and crazy, and shows the level that Taylor Knibb's on. Lucy Byram's in 7th, 2 minutes down. Paula Finlay in 8th, 2 minutes and 14 seconds. Emma Pallant-Brown, she's in 9th, 2 minutes and 20 seconds down. Imogen Simmons, she's in 10th, 2 minutes and 40 seconds. She's followed by Kat Matthews, and also in that group, Ashley Gentle and Annie Haug. So Ashley Gentle, Annie Haug, Kat Matthews and Imogen Simmons, 4 of the big hitters. They're almost 3 minutes down, 12 kilometres into this bike ride. What on earth are we seeing with Taylor Knibb? Who are you? Are you an alien? Are you a human?
It has been a masterpiece of a performance here, and I think even Sam Laidlow is going to be happy with second place, considering the rest of the season building.
Martin Van Riel, he won T100 San Francisco on debut of the T100 World Tour. Undefeated streak remains. Martin Van Riel, your 2-time T100 World Tour champion. Take a bow. What a performance today from Martin Van Riel to assert himself as the best T100 athlete in 2024. And Sam Laidlow, perhaps the story of the day, deep in an Ironman World Championship field, coming off that amazing victory at his semi-home race at London. He's been pushing the pace all day today. Sam Laidlow, second place here at T100 Ibiza.
Bravo, bravo. That is honestly, for me, got to be the story of the day as well. Sam Laidlow coming out here super strong. His training shed recently burning down at home, but you can see this man has his eyes firmly set on his targets, and he is here to stay. As Mika Knibb comes around for the last turn, we saw Alistair Bradley going the other way. Another podium performance here. He was deeply disappointed in Singapore, but we see Mika Knibb, high fives, fist pumps as he comes in for his next podium on the T100 series here in Ibiza.
Mika Knibb's highest ever finish on the T100 World Tour, his first podium. You see the excitement and what it means to him, Mika Knibb. And here are the results from today's race here at T100 Ibiza for the men. Martin Van Riel wins. Like he said, he led all day in the swim. A solid bike, a really solid bike, and of course a strong run. Sam Laidlow in second. What can we say? He just continues to impress. Mika Knibb, Alistair Brownlee, the first ever drafting penalty. It cost him the podium potentially in the end, but 4th place still a great result. Magic Man Fred Funk in 5th. That's 2 5th places in a row. Rico Bogan, he led the run at one point, finishes down in 7th. And Yuri Kulam with the fastest run of the day. Super impressive. He's your Singapore champion. He proved again today that if he can find himself there off the bike, he's one of the strongest runners in the field. Mattis Margier, he continues his return to racing, finishes 10th. That's a good stepping stone for him, I think, to continue his build into the grand final at the end of the year.
Congratulations to you. That was a fantastic finale to a wonderful race. And actually, just as you were coming over, there's a lovely moment between you and your family. What did the old man have to say to you?
Yeah, he didn't say very much. I think he was just proud and happy to be here. Like, he hasn't been at that many races in my career even, so to be able to win with them present, like that's I can't wish for anything more.
A lot of people now are going to be talking about you as the man to beat for the overall title of T100 World Champion. Do you listen to that? Do you ignore it, or is that your own expectation?
I mean, it was my biggest goal before this year to become the first T100 champion, so I'm all in for it. And like, if I do my best on every single race that I'm on the line and I keep getting good results like this, I'll be very close. So yeah, like, it's definitely a goal to win the first T100 championship.
Great stuff. The noise is only going to build from here, particularly off the back of another great win today. Congratulations to you, Martin. Sensational. Well done.
India Lee, who is in 2nd right now, she's a minute back, showing that she's just on a different level to all the other women on the bike. So I think maybe we've got to start focusing in on some other stories. We see that Taylor Knibb's off in the front of the race. She's going to be doing Taylor Knibb things, but India Lee is a very interesting story, and I don't want to brush off it. Last week at the Ironman World Championships, she lost 3.5 minutes on the swim. That's almost a 4.4 kilometre swim. She came into T1 and she literally walked through T1. She slowly grabbed her transition pack, her bike shoes. She sort of meandered through T1, rode very slowly for her. And talking to her during the week, she just said she was exhausted. She didn't want to be there. She was miserable. She had spent too far away from home. She said she felt refreshed coming in today. And look at what we're seeing. She's in 2nd.
Ashley Gentle on the screen in front of us there, and just in front of her is the figure of Annie Haug. So they are probably two of, if not the two best runners that we've got in the race today, and they are both at around just over 4 minutes down at the moment. But that gap hasn't gone out, so it hasn't ballooned out like we thought it would do when Taylor Knibb started to make things look a little bit ominous within about the first 10 to 15 kilometres on the bike. It's actually just stabilised now.
As we see Taylor Spivey on her debut, having had a great swim, losing a bit of time right now.
Almost 4 minutes she's lost to Taylor Knibb out of T1. That is not even 40k into the bike ride. She's lost 4 minutes. That's that's a lot of time. And Flora Duffy was in that group as well, and she's lost just over 3 minutes in under 40k. So you extrapolate that, and that could be, 6+ minutes for Flora Duffy into T2 and 8+ minutes for Taylor Spivey into T2. And here it is, the 2nd ever drafting penalty at the T100 World Tour. It's the debutante, Julie Duron. She's being shown a blue card. That TO looks like he's just explaining to her what she has to do. Keep in mind, she has to stop in at the next penalty tent and take that 1 minute penalty. I mean, it's brutal. It's a brutal reality of the sport, but at least the rules are finally being enforced, and we're finally seeing fair racing here at the T100 World Tour. It's great. It's a great thing for the sport, but Julie Duron and Alistair Brownlee, the unfortunate victims of it today.
It's also such a different focus, when you're used to racing short course and you're in short course racing, you ride in pelotons, you are supposed to be as close as you possibly can be within the realm of safety to the wheel in front of you, whereas you come to this kind of racing and you've got to start judging your distance, and you've got to keep focused in being an error, and you've got to keep focused on that race ranger of the bike in front of you. And to just explain that a little bit further to people who maybe perhaps don't understand exactly this race ranger system at home, the athlete will be looking at the bike in front of them. They'll be looking at the rear light on the bike in front of them. If that light isn't on, they're absolutely fine. If that light is blue, they are starting to approach getting into the realm of where they're potentially gonna have to keep minding the gap, shall we say. Once that light goes amber, they know they've only got 2 meters until they're encroaching on the draft zone, and then if they encroach on that draft zone, which is 20 meters, it flashes red, and at that point they need to make a pass, and they have 45 seconds to do that. If they don't do that, we will see the light continuing to flash red on the athlete in front. As you can see there, no light has been lit up on Imogen Simmons' bike, which means that Julie Dowan is currently more than about 25 meters behind, so she's well outside of the draft zone at the moment.
Eyes on Ash Gentle. She is clearly one of the only athletes who fully dedicates their life around the T100 World Tour. I mean, most of these athletes, it still is their priority. There's a few where it's not, but the large majority, it is still their priority. But no one really takes it to the level of Ash Gentle, where it's all she races, it's all she does, it's all she trains for. And so that's why I think today it's like she's invested in this in a way that, say, someone like Kat Matthews isn't today. Kat Matthews clearly can't be 100% in on this because she raced an Ironman last weekend, whereas Ashley Gentle can taper perfectly for this, train up till a week ago and fully target it. So, yeah, clearly Ash Gentle still has a lot of work today, but I think we'll be prepared to do so.
As she comes into T2, getting ready to put on her run shoes and show the world that Taylor Knibb is the full package, a swim, bike and runner, to play all the cards as she chooses.
It's a long and lonely run in for Taylor Knibb. No one else is going to be in sight for a very long time, and the nature of this bike course, this run course, sorry, means that she's never going to have a chance to go out and back and see people. The only people she's going to see out on the course are people that she laps, or if anybody can possibly manage to overhaul this deficit, if they can get anywhere close to her and have some company for her to run with. But at the moment, that doesn't seem likely.
Looks great coming out of T2 to me. I think she does have a point to prove. I know it might seem quite hard to put yourself in her head because she's got such a big gap. She could so easily just run within herself and get an easy victory here today. But talking to her throughout the week and the interviews she did throughout the week, it really does seem like she has something to prove, like Jan said, about wanting to show that she is one of the best runners in the world. And I think she really hates people who doubt her. Like, you get that vibe when you talk to her that like if you question her, or if someone questions her, it just irks her. It doesn't sit right with her, and she does want to prove people wrong.
Yeah, as we get India Lee coming into a transition 2 here, the next athlete. Daylight between the two of them, but also daylight to the next group. So it'll be really interesting. 250, we're hearing one of her teammates throw in. She does have to put on the socks, which Taylor Knibb didn't. But this is so far a fantastic performance from India Lee.
You saw her acknowledge that information that was being fed to her by one of her friends there. She sort of nodded her head, took it on, questioned what one of the pieces of information was, nodded again, said, okay, got it, and off she went. So she just had a moment there to regroup as she got her shoes on and take in all the information she can do to give her the best possible chance of holding on to this second place.
Imogen Simmons, yet another great performance from her, leading this group out of transition as we get eyes on Paula Findlay, changing, trying to get socks and shoes on.
So Imogen Simmons, she takes a 30-second lead on Paula Findlay and Julie Duron into T2. Lucy Byron was right on the heels of Imogen Simmons as she, pretty good save in the end. That was nearly a bad start. It is just carpet, she would have been fine, but good save all the same from Imogen Simmons.
Taylor Knibb lapping Ash Gentle. Getting your head wrapped around that. I mean, that is just such a statement of intent. That is got to be soul crushing to a point that, yeah, they're going to be, Ash Gentle's going to have to ask herself some heavy questions. We expected this to be a battle.
Wow.
Not a lap between them.
No,
I mean,
this was not on my bingo card for today. I don't know about you, but seeing Ashley Gentle having already been lapped at this point on the run, and now she has to go about unlapping Taylor Knibb and trying to just make some ground up as many places as she can.
What are we going to see here?
Are we going to see Ash Gentle and Taylor Knibb run together for the rest of this race? Is Taylor Knibb going to drop Ash Gentle here even though she's already lapped her? Does Ash Gentle go around her? This is like a really crazy dynamic.
Probably really helps Taylor, because Taylor wants to run fast, right? She wants to be in a run race. She wants to try and prove where her run's at. Maybe this is a blessing for her. Yeah, it seems like Julie Duron, unsurprisingly, is the one that is coming through from that chase pack. If you look back to Imogen Simmons, that gap is holding still at around 2 minutes. Imogen's closed it down just by about 10 to 15 seconds. But the one who's making the inroads, the one who is going to be very much in the eyes, or that Indy Lee has to keep an eye on, I should say, is Julie Derron, and she's absolutely charging. This is Julie Derron we've got eyes on now as she rounds the corner and runs alongside transition to end the first lap for her. She is looking fantastic to run herself up into second place right now.
And here it is, the battle for second place, India Lee and Julie Duron. Julie Duron, it's her debut here. She's a rookie at the T100 distance. She had a minute penalty as well on the bike, so without that minute penalty, she would only be 2 minutes and 50 seconds behind Taylor Knibb. And with almost 10 kilometers to go, I mean, she probably wouldn't catch her, but we'd be talking about it, and it would make this race a lot more exciting. So we get a fair race. It's what we need, but you know, it's also that what if that it creates. Same thing with Alistair Brownlee. He probably would have got a podium without it, but that's the price of fair racing, and we love to see fair racing. As Julie Duron makes the pass on India Lee for second. Wow, her debut race, and she's made her way up to second, and we've got pretty much all the big hitters in today's race. Kat Matthews here, hampered, sure, but she's here. Ashley Gentle, the queen of the T100. Annie Haug, Emma Pallant-Brown, Paula Finlay. They're all here today, and Julie Duron is showing that she is now putting herself up in lights with all of those big names over the T100 distance and is a threat.
But Ashley Gentle has actually now increased her pace, so she is the fastest runner on course. She went 17 seconds faster than Julie on her last lap. So Ashley Gentle has found her run legs, unsurprisingly, but it just goes back to the same old thing. We need to see more from Ashley on the bike if she's going to really feature at the front of these races from now on.
And good to see Ash run a strong, consistent race. I said before, maybe Julie Duron's come in and overthrown her as the best runner in the sport, but Ashley Gentle showing her experience at the 18-kilometre distance. Julie Duron clearly probably a better runner over 5 and 10K, given that she's been doing short course racing at the moment, but Ashley Gentle maintaining a more consistent tempo throughout the whole 18K and taking over as the fastest runner out on course right now. We see the fastest runner so far on course. Ashley Gentle has sort of pulled things back, but Julie Duron still has the fastest overall run time so far today. At 11.7 kilometres into the run, she's running in 39 minutes. Taylor Knibb out in front has run in 42 minutes. So Julie Duron has pulled 3 minutes back into Taylor Knibb. Rewind to that drafting penalty. If that had never happened, then Julie Duron's probably more like 1 minute and 20 seconds back from Taylor Knibb, and with 4.4 kilometres to go, we might be seeing a battle for this win. But hey, you get the unfair advantage by drafting, then clearly you've got to pay for it. But yeah, this is really impressive and does bode well for some potential battles that we might see in the future between these two women in Taylor Knibb and Julie Duron. And Ashley Gentle, she's only ran 2 minutes faster than Taylor Knibb to this point. Julie Duron's still 1 minute faster than Ashley Gentle overall, although Ashley Gentle is starting to turn that around.
So the next question is, Ashley Gentle, can she possibly make any inroads on the podium? We know she's now just making that pass up into 4th place. Sorry, that's 5th place. She's still got Paula Finlay ahead of her to make into 4th place. She's got about another 2.5 minutes to try and close down Indy Lee for a podium spot at the end of the day. She's got around 5 kilometres left to do that.
She's actually got more than that though. She'll have about 6.1 kilometres at that point, and yeah, so technically she could do it, but
I mean, this is on Indy now. I mean, Ashley is flying, but Indy has to hold it together. She will know, the people on course will be telling her that the threat from behind now is Ashley Gentle, because she is motoring, and Indy has to keep herself running fast and smooth, otherwise she's going to lose that podium spot at the death.
So it's about 2 minutes and 45 seconds, the gap, with 6 kilometres remaining. It would be tough. It's a stretch. It's not undoable though.
That's almost 30 seconds a K. I mean, that's significant. But again, she is flying, and yeah, that would be quite something.
Well,
from being lapped
we
to running
that.
your way to the podium.
Yes.
And running to such a bittersweet podium.
Yeah, it's like 25 seconds a K. It would take a blow up from India Lee at this point, wouldn't it? You have to, as well as Ashley Gentle is running, it would take a blow up here from India Lee, but it will be close come the finish line, I think. I think that might be down to within 30, 45 seconds if it holds tough like it is now. And Taylor Knibb makes her way onto the blue carpet. She has been out of this world today at T100 Ibiza. Front pack swim, made her move on the bike, came into T2 with no one around her and showed the world, I'm not just a swimmer, I'm not just a biker, I am a triathlete, I'm the best middle distance triathlete in the world. Taylor Knibb, a 3-time T100 champion, a 2-time champion in 2024, and proving herself as the greatest middle distance triathlete on the planet right now. I think the sky's the limit for Julie Duron and her future in T100 triathlon. So Julie Duron, her first outing at the T100 World Tour, shows the world, I have arrived. Second place here today behind the great Taylor Knibb, beating Ashley Gentle, beating Annie Haug. Julie Duron, second place at T100 Ibiza, the 5th stop on the T100 World Tour. If you didn't know her name, you know it now. India Lee holding tough here. Ashley Gentle is only 55 seconds behind her. 500 metres left to run for Ashley Gentle. That means there's about 300 metres to run for India Lee. You can see the look on her face. That is a grimace. That means India Lee is digging in and fighting here. The determination she must be showing to hold off Ashley Gentle. One of, if not the greatest runner we've seen in the Women's T100 Tour. And India Lee makes the final turn. She is going to hold on. It is redemption for India Lee here today at Ibiza, the 5th stop on the T100 World Tour. Coming off a disappointing weekend of the Ironman World Championships, she has proven not only to herself but everyone else, I haven't gone anywhere. The Miami champion, 3rd here today in the final spot on the podium at T100 Ibiza. India Lee, what a race.
And that's just going to mean so much to her. She would have prepared so hard for last weekend's World Championship, and to not finish, to feel so awful as she did on that day, to have nothing there, to be so demoralised and demotivated, then to turn it around here, that is exactly what every athlete dreams of.
Ashley Gentle, the winner last time out at London on the T100 World Tour, fought for every metre today here at Ibiza. At one point, only just inside the top 10, Ashley Gentle finishes 4th here today at T100 Ibiza. And we are joined by your champion now, 3-time PTO winner, Taylor Knibb. Alex joins her now.
It's been a heck of a year for you, and there was a roller coaster that everyone knows about in Paris. How easy was it to park that and reset and fire yourself up again? Was that a simple process, or have you had to go through a bit to get here?
Well, I think it was probably a blessing, and I got super sick, like super sick. So I didn't do anything for like a week, and my manager called me, he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, no, I get to sit in bed for a week without any responsibilities? Like, this is like amazing. And so I think I probably started up like 5 weeks ago. Probably worse fitness than November 1st. My coach can confirm or deny. So this was a really big push. The first week back, I'm like, whoa, we're back. So yeah, it really feels like a second part, and I have a lot of work to do because I haven't had that consistency. Because I've had a good last 5 weeks, but anything before that, it was a very vapid.
It was pretty tough to get back into the swing of things after the Olympics, and yeah, I'm super pleased that I had a good day out there and I think my run wasn't a surprise to anyone anymore, so I was just really happy to be in a position where I could play off my strength.
Absolutely brilliant to have you both here. You've actually both got to go and do podiums. So one question, Danny, there looked a lot of emotion for you at the end. I know it's been a heck of a week. A bit of home time seems to have worked wonders. Well done today. Tell us what you make of that.
Yeah, so the last 6 weeks or so I've been building up to the World Championships last week, and then this week, this race as well. And I made a decision to go away and thinking I was like doing everything I could to prepare for a World Championships, and in the end I just spent too long away from home and got really homesick and just was pretty miserable going into the race last week. So I had a terrible day, and then 2 days at home and I was like a new person, and I was so motivated to prove that I'd put all the work in for this week and I didn't want it to be a waste of time. So to pull off a solid result I'm really chuffed with, and yeah, it was a good day.
Well, fantastic scenes there, and this is what it means to the T100 series standings as far as the men are concerned. No Magnus Ditlev and Kyle Smith this weekend. So the big mover, Sam Laidlow, who is up into 3rd place, up 4, and the big mover, Martin van Riel, who's up 10 into 4th. Sam Long, therefore, drops down. Yuri Kulin, Mika Noot, all performing here today and getting points on the board. Rico Bogan, Alistair Brownlee brave today as well, and Matthias Margerier rounds out the top 10. A lot of life left, of course, with one regular round to go and the grand final in Dubai. And just a quick check on today's result as well. Taylor Knibb, imperious and superb from the moment she recovered from a bit of a bump in the start of the swim. She came home in top spot. Julie Derron overcoming the time penalty to run her way home in 2nd. Indy Lee with great guts and courage to hold off the challenge of Ash Gentle, who herself ran hard to finish in 4th. But it's a Knibb, Derron and Lee 1, 2, 3. What a day of racing here in Ibiza. We'll see you in Vegas in 3 weeks' time.